Preliminary findings from the South Korean Centers for Disease Control suggest patients who recovered from COVID-19 but then tested positive for the virus again were not infectious and were not spreading the virus to others. 447 South Koreans tested positive a second time, but those virus traces appear to be dead, not alive. Could it be an indication of immunity?
I think it's a little too soon to take that and say that we know for sure that people have immunity, but we have seen that people do mount a pretty good immune response to this, and we haven't yet seen reinfection. So I think taken together, that is encouraging.
You just go by Rafael or Rafa, or what's your preference?
You can call me Rafa.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rafa's
well,
good.
just to introduce you to anyone that sees this and maybe doesn't recognize this legendary fellow here, it's Rafael or Rafa Pons, and he is the creator of Photopills.
Yes, one of the founders of this little app.
Yeah. Well, not so little in the photography community, I have to say. Maybe little for the average person that does not delve into such things, but I mean, for photography, man, like, I would say probably every single guest that I've had on, every photographer guest that I've had on, maybe except for, I would imagine maybe Peter Hurley might not use it because he's indoor, headshot photographer. There probably isn't that much reason, but apart from Peter Hurley, I think every single person uses it like aggressively, all the time.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Thanks for letting me know. I met Peter in Photopills last October, so September, October. Yeah, I gave Photopills to him, but he told me, "Yeah, I'm gonna give it to my team because I'm more studio guy, and I can do like depth of field calculators and stuff." But he's already a master, so yeah,
right.
His level.
yeah. I was gonna say maybe depth
yeah.
of field, but that guy probably has that locked in like nothing.
Maybe for planning outdoors portraits. I mean, a lot of people is using it also for planning, not only landscape photography, but also even macro photography or outdoor photography in general.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's spreading. I mean, we are surprised, we created this little tool from a really remote island lost in the Mediterranean Sea to help people imagine shots, plan them, so they can go and capture them. And we're amazed how the community is growing. People is hunting moments all around the world, and it's super exciting.
Yeah, man, it's really cool. One of the first things I wanted to say, first of all, is thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. It's kind of you to do so, and I think it's especially cool just having people like yourself come on during the whole quarantine. Although I know we're kind of seemingly are moving on, I guess, at this point, but it's just interesting to kind of hear your perspective on the whole thing and just how is it affecting photography and whatnot. So thank you for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
I'm glad you invited me, man. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So I guess, so you said you never expected the app to kind of blow up the way it has. How long ago did Photopills start? I know I didn't get it, the day it was released. So.
Yeah, I mean, we started actually with Herman, who's the developer of Photopills, my friend, in 2009, actually. And it took us until 2013 to launch the first iOS version. And then 4 years later, we launched the Android version. So for us, it's been a spare time project. We had so much fun, doing all the research and building all these tools. But then, after the Android version, something happened, like people started to share more. And I think planning is becoming more popular and more popular. I know that a lot of people in photography, they don't know that they can even plan their shots. And I think it's helping us a lot. And it's been a long way. And we quit our jobs in 2015, by the way. It's almost 5 years ago we quit our jobs and work full time. And then, everything started to grow, and a lot of friends like, Michael Shamblin or choice scripts, or adding banding, help people using the app and helping us also spread the word.
Yeah, that's so awesome, man, that you've been 5 years without working for the man, as they say, and doing your own thing. That's great.
And that's a game changer. It's really a game changer when you quit and you focus on one thing. Things begin to happen. Speeds up. Everything speeds speeding up. And now we are like working full time in Photopills. We are 4 people at this time. So we're super happy that we can even hire some people to help us develop what's coming in the future. But we're a super small project. If you watch my videos on YouTube, you can read comments that people don't understand my accent and they want a native speaking English speaker to do the job, and they say, "Oh, come on, I'm the guy here. There is nobody else." Right.
Yeah, that must be weird to have that problem. I guess as a sort of native English speaker, I've never really seen that held against me. You know what I mean? So that must be a weird thing to have to navigate. But I mean, it must have felt like awesome in 2015 when you got to that point where you were like, I think I'm ready to quit my job, right? Like how did you know, like, that was the right time?
I felt it. And actually I have in the Photopills YouTube channel, I have like 3 videos I recorded that very day, that very special day. And you can see me like, with some friends making fun. And because I was a public servant, so I had this, a job for life. I'm a civil engineer my background, and I worked in town planning in my little town in Menorca. Awesome life, working from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. every day. It was nice. But in the afternoon, we came up with the idea of Photopills. And slowly, when, sales started to pick up, then we decided to make the move and, cut our salaries by half and make the bet to go for it, all in. And here we are, it's still pushing, this, I think we're over 400,000 downloads at the moment, but, the community is so huge. There are so many photographers out there that they don't even know that they can plan shots, and through the app and also through the videos and through our detailed guides that, the photography guides that we write and we post on our online academy. We're trying to help people get these shots, and slowly is growing the community. Yeah. But the very day I quit my job, I was like the craziest guy in the world. I suppose I didn't know what I was doing.
Right. Yeah.
Well, my mom wasn't happy.
Oh, no, really?
No.
She just said you've got this great, 9 to 5, although 7 to 2, I guess, job that provides all the benefits and everything. And why would I ever do such a silly thing to jump ship?
Yeah.
Moms are funny that way, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
That's really cool that you got the opportunity to do that. And I think it's probably something that a lot of photographers can relate to as well, because of course, I think most photographers they weren't always photographers, right? Like they maybe worked at some sort of thing just to pay the bills, but the dream was always like, I want to quit so that I can just be my own boss.
Yeah, and everything. I think the smart way to do it is to start part-time, and work hard to make it grow, and then you'll feel naturally confident to make the move. Yeah. The problem is that people tend to get too much comfort from their jobs, and they don't work that hard in their spare time to make it grow enough to make the final decision. But if you work hard enough, and the income starts to grow, and then for me, it was a natural move. I know that everybody around me was thinking I was crazy. You're crazy.
Right.
But I was super confident that I was on the right track.
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes naturally. Believe it, it's not magic. It's not something that you feel more comfortable. You're expanding your comfort zone, and then the day comes and you jump.
It's hard. I think, to for people to put in the extra time for something like that. I mean, there's so many projects I think that people have that they would love to do, but it's like, it's so tempting to just sit on the couch and like watch Netflix or whatever. You know, it's so hard to just like, okay, I'm finished making the money that I needed to make, and now for the next like 4 or 5 hours, I'm just going to plug right in and I'm going to do my side project. Like, you have to want it so much, you know, to be willing to do
you need
that.
to find your purpose. You know, for us, was helping people get legendary photos, and it was so fun. You know, even with a small community, it was so fun to help these guys get the shots they had imagined. And for us, was like, you know, gasoline for our energy. So you find, you know, your reason, your purpose to fight for the project. Then you're not working. You start having fun, even, you know, Saturdays, Sundays, working on the project. But for me, it wasn't that hard to, you know, get up and work, because I was passionate about what I was doing, and I'm still passionate. I'm still passionate about it, and nonstop. This is 24 hours, 7 days a week. You know, answering emails and helping people as many as we can.
Dude, I can definitely attest to that. Do you remember JJ Bowen? He's also from Philadelphia area. I had him on. He was like one of the first people that I had on, and we were talking about Photopills, and he was like, dude, I don't think Rafael like ever sleeps, because he said there was some time, like, I don't know, years ago, when I think he was trying to do a moonshot or, you know, something like that, and it wasn't, you know, quite lining up. And I guess he was like, I don't know if it's just, you know, something with my connection, or maybe I'm just doing something wrong or whatever. And I think he like maybe sent Photopills like a message or something. And I'm assuming he thought, yeah, it'll probably be, you know, maybe the next couple of days I'll hear something. And it was like 5 minutes later, you're like, oh yeah, you have to, you know, do the figure 8 thing with your phone or whatever it was to get it going. And he was just like, dude, I was amazed at the fact that this guy does everything that he does and posts as much helpful information, and somehow like within 5 minutes it was like, oh yeah, here's the solution.
Probably the email came in at the right time. I was answering emails and I got him. But yeah, JJ, I met him in New York last year. He came in one of the Photopills workshops. I usually do a workshop in New York every year before Photopills.
Right.
And great guy. He's really truly a moon hunter.
Yeah, he is. And a true Philadelphian as well, I have to say. Very Philly, that guy.
Really Philly.
It's funny. Yeah, the story that he was telling me about it was how it was like he felt like such an imposter, I think, because it was like this, you know, little round table of photographers. And I think he was like, yeah, it was Elia Licardi and then Shane Bloom and me. And he was like, what am I doing here? You know, these guys are like celebrity photographers. So it was funny, but he's one of my favorite in Philly, I would say, in this area, for sure.
And what I really love about these guys, Elia or Michael, is that they are so easygoing, and they're not like, you know, even JJ is an awesome photographer. You know, it's all about the communities we are all trying to create around, you know, our purposes in photography, and, you know, helping people, inspiring people, and they're so easygoing people. It's I'm amazed. You know, I'm not a photographer. My background, I'm a civil engineer. My town planning is my thing, you know, and building bridges and stuff. But what I love about Photopills is the people I'm meeting when I'm traveling. You know, it allows me to travel around the world, meet people, help what we call photopillers to learn how to plan their shots, and meet people like JJ or Elia or Michael, and they become friends. You know.
Yeah,
you can go to Japan, or, you know, Australia, New Zealand. That's the beauty of also photography. I think opens the people's minds. You know, the travel only, you know, motivates you to travel and, you know, discover new places in within your country, even within my little island in America. I discovered so many places thanks to photography. You know, it's only 30 miles long island, and thanks to Photopills, I've been discovering so many cool places.
Yeah, it's so true, man. I mean, travel is often one of the main things that I end up talking about on this, because it does kind of go hand in hand with photography, especially, you know, landscape and cityscape and things where, you know, you see those viral shots on the internet, and then you just get that fire within you, and you just say, I need to go and do that. You know, for a lot of people, it's, I'm going to go and get that shot. That's a whole nother debate, because it's like, how can I make it unique? But in order to get that shot, you have to go to that place. And I do think it's really cool, because two of the things that I've been the most passionate about, you know, ever of anything, one is photography and one is travel. So yeah, man, I think that I was going to say as well, I think that the fact that landscape photography seems to have hit this like fever pitch a few years ago. It just became such a, like, you know, Shane Bloom and Lila Carty and Colby Brown and like Market Adamus, I'm not sure how to say his last name. Like a lot of these guys, you know, they're like the rock stars for photographers that pick up their first camera, and you see all the stuff that they do. And I would imagine that all that stuff had to have played a huge role in Photopills becoming as popular as it is that you're kind of a reflection on like the desirable shots on like social media and things like that. And they, well, how did you get? Well, I use this app, you know?
Yeah. I think it's what's working great for us is the word of mouth, because we don't spend money on advertisement. It's all about creating a unique tool that works and help people get their shots. And then, when somebody is like teaching a workshop, for example, you know, not many photographers teach how to plan their shots. You know, they teach composition, they teach post-processing, but they don't tell the students how they got that shot in a spot and that they had to be there at that specific time. So planning was kind of, and still is kind of like a taboo thing. But now more photographers are teaching more in their workshops, and also this, you know, helps us get the word out there. And because the app is not easy to use at the beginning, when you get into the app, it's like, oh my god, what the hell is this?
Right, like another Photoshop or something.
Yeah. You need to get that's one of the reasons I'm doing so many videos on YouTube too, because to help people at least get started. And, you know, you need to start little by little and set a goal and try to capture that photo. And then, you know, it's like a circle. You know, you have an idea, try to plan it, try to shoot it, keep back, go back, and but you'll learn very fast. As many photos you take, the more photos you take, the more you'll learn in photography and everything, actually.
Yeah, true. And that's a good point about the videos as well. I mean, I think that was probably the first, a few years ago, like that was the first thing. I think I had downloaded the app. I think I brought it up. I said, oh, okay, this isn't something that I can do in a couple of minutes. So I kind of put it away. And then I think the next time that I opened it was as a result of you sharing a video of, you know, just how to plan. I don't remember specifically what it was. It was probably like the Milky Way or something. And I said, oh, okay, like that's cool. And I watched the video. And then the next time I had the opportunity, that's when I brought the app up. And it's funny because I think in there are a lot of cases probably in the app world, I would think, where you look at it, you take that initial, okay, what am I looking at? And then if it doesn't maybe jive with you or click with you immediately, you may not ever give it like the opportunity. So the fact that you're so active with making those videos, if anyone else is like me, I think it's probably super helpful.
Yeah, because when you download the app, somebody's telling you, man, you should download this app because it's great for photography, and you download it and then you open it and you don't understand anything. What the hell is going on? And then you put it off. But the next time you want to photograph, sunset this weekend, then you ask yourself, what time is sunset and where the sun will set? And then is when you go to the app and you find the answers. You know, I always tell the same thing to people, like, forget about Photopills. Photopills is not important. What you want, you know? Mm-hmm. Want to shoot the Milky Way? Where? You want to shoot the Milky Way in Death Valley? Awesome. You have a location. You go to Photopills, go to the planner, and place a red pin at that location, and then you watch my video how to plan the Milky Way, and then in 1 minute you know how to plan the Milky Way, and then it's done. And you slowly get into this imagine, plan, shoot system. You need to check what's going on before you go and actually take a photo. And
right.
that really helps people maximize the success in getting the photos they want.
Yeah. Yeah. And you said something that really resonated with me, which is the idea that, have the imagination first. And I know I don't mean for that to sound like hokey or something. No. There really is a sincerity to that, which is that I think a lot of times photographers get caught up in the idea of just taking the same shot that they saw, which inspired them. And I'm guilty of it. Anyone's guilty of it, I think. Yeah. And I think you maybe go through this period of time where you sort of do a lot of that. You just say, well, that's a great shot. I'm going to go do the same shot. But I think eventually you start having those realizations of like, am I really being as creative as I could be? Am I really going to do anything unique if my path involves me just sort of taking the same shot? And it's one thing that I've been learning, I mean, still learning today, is the idea of, well, what if instead of doing it that way, what if you just said, I saw a cool building the other day. Wouldn't it be sweet if I could shoot the building with the Milky Way core behind it? Or wouldn't it be cool if I could get the full moon setting above it, or whatever it is?
Yeah.
And I think if you start there and you go, well, hey, now let's check Photopills and let me try to line up the shot. To me, I think that's like the most creative, friendly, like process to get there, is to do it that way.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong on taking photos, trying to, I wouldn't say copy people, others' shots, because it helps you a lot to learn photography, by, mimicking the compositions and the settings, and helps you a lot when you're growing as a photographer. And then suddenly you start, get tired of doing that, and then you start having your own ideas, like naturally. Like I quit my job naturally. The more photos you practice, even if you copy, in the future, you'll start thinking about, wait a minute, I've copied this, I learned how to plan this shot. I know a really nice place around here. Maybe should try to plan something cool here. And then you start brainstorming and coming with your own shot on that specific photo, or that specific location. And even a place that had been shot like 1,000 times, you can come up with a different idea, thanks to the power of planning. Because not always the sun has to be in that spot. Maybe you want it to be on the right and bring light from the side in the scene, and that's another story. Maybe clouds are different that day. There are so many factors that can really help you create a different image. But I think it's a process. Everybody starts like, you want to take a really cool shot, so you copy shot. Yeah. But then naturally you start thinking on yourself and having your own ideas. And yeah, what I really love about the app, the Photopills app, is that is at the beginning of the creative process. For me, it's like a tool that opens the door to a new universe of creativity. That thanks to this little app, you can imagine a shot and try to figure out if it's possible or not. And that's super powerful. I love that aspect of the project.
Yeah. I would imagine it must feel pretty good to hear all of the like reviews and people that use your stuff too. Like that must be an awesome feeling.
Yeah. It's amazing. And when I meet people, one-on-one, it gives us so much energy to keep working. It's not easy. It's very demanding, and we are super, super demanding too. But yeah, just by looking on the shots we feature every day on Instagram, these cool shots that people has imagined, planned, and shot, and that's the proof, that the system works. And yeah, when we feature one of the shots, I know I'm making happy one of the tribe,
Oh, for sure. Well, that's that's like the economy for photographers that are trying to get their name out there in 2020 is like, which curator is going to share one of my posts, and will that lead to it's a funny thing, especially for photography as it pertains to social media, because it's like this, you get such a high, you get such a rush from like a share, and ultimately, the share may not really be that important at the end of the day. You maybe gain some followers and things, but like monetarily, financially, it's not going to do anything for you. But I think what it does is that it validates the theories that you've been having. It validates like man, I worked my ass off to get that shot. I was up until 4 a.m. or whatever. And it's like, first of all, a great shot might not get many likes, and not so great shot might get millions of likes. It's just the way it works. But when you can, when everything kind of materializes and you used maybe the Photopills app and you planned something out, and maybe you waited months or something to get that shot, but you had the idea and then you did it and the weather panned out and you executed it and the editing was great and you put it up there, and an unusually large for you amount of people say, wow, that was really cool. Thanks for doing that. It buys you like another 6 months. Like, you know what I mean? It like buys you another year of like, okay, I'll be crazy enough to do this a few more times,
Yeah, for us, we created the Photopills Awards to share the photos that people imagine, plan, and shot thanks to the Photopills, because we know that there is a lot of effort behind each one of these photos, and the rewarding culture is inside the Photopills team. And we started the Instagram account with 0 followers 3 years ago, and we started sharing because we had this purpose of we want to show the world the photos that the community is capturing, these moments that they're happening every day, but nobody sees it. So that's our purpose with the sharing thing. And it's not about the likes, but I know that inside myself that when we share one of the photos, I'm somebody that I don't know is happier today, and that made me feel good. And I'm trying to inspire people to think and motivate people to think the photos before they go and take them. And that's probably the hardest thing, the hardest challenge we want to accomplish in the Photopills app, which is inspiring people to take action and come up with different ideas. And for that, we come up with the tool, but also I think the worst thing, Instagram really helps visualize these kind of photos and motivate people to try to mimic them at the beginning, but with different subjects, a moon aligned with a building or a tree or the sun or the star trails or whatever. But at the base, the foundation is let's try to find a way to inspire people take action, because having ideas is the hardest part in photography.
Agreed.
The beginning.
Yeah. The ideas are the difference between the person who is maybe like the technician, the person who says, I understand camera settings, I understand, lenses and the way that the earth turns, and I can take good shots. I think it's the thing that separates that person from like sort of the real like artist, I guess. The person who's like, no, I had this in my head before I had seen it, and that's so hard to do. It's so hard to be that person.
It is. The demo is super hard. In the Photopills team, we have a medical photographer, Antonio Cladera, who is the only photographer in the team, and he's the eye. He sees the shots, and can come up with the ideas and say, "My God, this is incredible! I love the creative side of photography, but I couldn't make that happen." But he has the talent, but it's a talent that you need to train, right? You need to start thinking on the idea first, and then over time you'll improve. You're going to have better ideas. But if you don't start thinking on yourself, then you'll be, just shooting snapshots or copying all the photos. And creativity, the brain is a muscle. You can train it. All you have to do is to start thinking and taking photos and think and take photos and think and take photos.
No, so true. So I guess, are you starting to think more like a photographer the more that you do this, because now you're, I don't know, paying attention to all those photography type of things? Like, do you find?
I definitely look at the world in a different way, because I'm more like a library rat. Indoor guy,
right.
Introvert, and the Photopills thing makes me, make videos on YouTube. For me, it was a crazy idea. What are you doing? I'm freezing in front of the camera. But yeah, it has really changed the way I'm looking at the world. And when you're traveling, now, you see things that you had never seen before, because you've trained off looking for subjects or lines that drive into a different particular spot. That's the beauty of photography. It really makes you see the world in a different way than another person.
Yeah. So did you guys sort of like have like a competition or something to find out like who was going to be the front man, like who was going to be the face of the, and it ended up like, okay, I'll do it.
No, it was very easy. We have the designer, he designs, the photographer is the photographer taking shots. Herman is the developer, and Rafa, who is Rafa? He's the guy who's going to do the videos on YouTube and the marketing and stuff, right? A lot of people doesn't know what I'm doing. But we have the developer, you have the designer, the photographer. Rafa, who is Rafa? What are you doing? More like the strategy guy and marketing at the beginning, but now I'm also learning photography, by hell, battlefield concepts that for me is like, oh my gosh, I had to do videos on these topics that for me are super, strange. But I know a lot of theory, but I cannot take a photo. Can you imagine that?
Yeah. I mean, it's really interesting to me. It really is. And like, this is segueing kind of beautifully, because one of the things that I wanted to ask you was like, how did this all like happen? I mean, if you're not someone who is a professional landscape photographer, how do you even have the aha moment?
Yeah, it became because Herman, the developer, and myself were working on our jobs in Menorca, but we were not very happy with the job we had, and I was pushing him out. I have so many ideas to develop something on my spare time something that can be created from this little island for the world. And then Herman bought the camera to take better photos. He bought like a Nikon 90, something like that, in 2009, to take better photos when he was traveling. And one day he came to me and he told me, man, this photography thing is so complicated. There's so many questions that need answers. Like, what time is the golden hour? What's the depth of field? What's the hyperfocal distance?
Right.
How can I know that the sun is going to be sitting there? And I told him, wait a minute. I really like the photography and the creative side of photography, of creating things. Why don't we have these guys, if they have an idea, give them a system that they can make that idea real in a photo. And then we start brainstorming, as two friends, looking for all the problems that you have when you want to get a particular shot. And then we came up with the idea of the pills thing. It's like we cure the photographer's pains, and we make all these painkillers for photographers.
Okay.
The tools, so you spend more time imagining photos than working out all the maths, which are pretty complicated when you want to predict where the sun is going to be, or the moon, the Milky Way, and even the depth of field. But it started like that. Like for me, my motivation was to change my life, to be free from, of course, the academic freedom, but also location freedom. So I really wanted to look for something that made me free. And I'm in Madrid, traveling, or can work from anywhere in the world. That was my really motivation. But then I found a niche, photography, which I felt super comfortable, trying to help people in that niche. And that's the way we met the photographer and Tony and the designer, and everything slowly start to build up on this little software. And then we thought, okay, we have this software, and we don't know how to sell it. We don't know how to reach people. And then we decided, okay, we're gonna, help people writing all these, guides, photography guides that are more like 100, 200 pages on one topic. So when somebody finds these guys, they can learn, want to shoot the Milky Way, you have everything there. So you can, from his ideas to planning, the gear and the shooting, the settings, you have everything in one place to make the photo that you want to make for real. And then, I think happy customers, and we're here right now. But it's been a really interesting adventure to get here where we are now. And now I like doing videos, making videos. Can you believe it? And I like teaching people photography, and I like the feeling I'm having every time. I'm answering emails. I think I found my spot.
That's awesome, man. That's great. So getting back to kind of the initial idea. Yeah. So it was your friend who essentially had started photographing, and he was like, I wish there was just an easier way to kind of, just know things rather than.
He was a beginner in photography, and he saw that it was difficult, and he had a lot of questions that had an answer or an easy answer in one spot. Can go and look up sunrises times on websites and depth of field calculations and other things, but there was nothing in one spot, everything. And that's when we came with the idea of, let's do something that helps people, but in one spot, easy. Let's make it easy. We call it our crystal ball, like our lightsaber for the Jedi's. We use it to get the shot we want, and that was the beginning.
So I guess there must have been some awareness of, there are helpful things on the internet, and there are some apps that people are, use even still, but for the majority, every app that I've ever seen that's not Photopills is sort of very good at one thing. Typically, it's like, here is its purpose, and then you'll fact check with that one, and then you'll kind of go over to this other one. And you say, well, let's see what comes up on this, and then you kind of arrive at your conclusion, which again, in our era of time and the way apps are, that's just clunky. It just needs to be simple. So you must have known that there was a functional opportunity and a business opportunity as well, right? You must have seen hey, this could really be a thing.
But we did it without any goals in terms of, we wanted to sell 1 million apps. That was our goal. But we didn't know we could sell one app. We just worked like hell for 3 years and launched it. And we didn't expect, we had our jobs. So if we fail, we fail. That's it. But then you start selling one app, then 2 apps a day, and then, we start working and improving and listening for fun. And everything started to pick up. But at the beginning, if you do something for the money, the money is going to be there, or the freedom of your goal. You really need to have fun doing what you want to do, and do it anyway, even if you're going to fail in the future. You don't know. You need to try. And for us, I told you, from 2009 to 2013, we started launching the first paid version of Photopills, and then we made, I think, 20K the first year. If you had to hire people and pay people to do all the job we did for 3 years, it wouldn't be profitable. It's it's crazy. You need to spend $500,000 first, to have the first idea that you don't even know that you can sell. For example, it's crazy. But if you do it on your time, then you do it on your own, and then and then it's all about finding the way, listening to people, and finding the way, fine-tuning things, improving. But for me, the clear idea I knew is that if we can help people get the shots they want, we're onto something. Photopills is just a tool. It's not only the app. Our goal is to help people shoot legendary photos.
Right.
And we try to give them everything they need to get the best shot possible. If they have an idea, we want to help them get that shot. I know that if I can help people to do that, then there is something, right? There's value there. We want to try to make a transformation on the photography. And Photopills, the tool, was the first one. But then we had the videos, and we had the guides, and we help on their emails. And then we had our workshops and the Photopills camp we do in Menorca to put the community. We are focused on community based from the very beginning. It's not about the tool. Everybody can build a tool, but from minute zero, we wanted to build a movement of people that think about shots, plan them so they can go and catch them. And I think that gave us a lot of confidence on the project we were working.
Yeah.
But we didn't know if it would happen.
Yeah. I mean, that's cool. I mean, it tells you that you guys actually enjoyed doing it. Like you saw that there was a need there, and it didn't matter, what the money was going to do. It was just, hey, this is an obvious thing that should be done.
What I would say is that in everything in life, even in photography, for example, you love photography and you want to improve. If you find your purpose, what makes you move, it's more important than taking photos. I mean, if you do it because you love it and you're crazy about it, it's good. Maybe you want to use photography, to tell stories, to show the world certain problems that are happening in society. Or you find your mission. It can be fun. It can be, something more social. What moves you?
Yeah.
You find that, then 100% you're going to improve your photos. And for you, it's going to be easy to find ideas because you're going to be thinking in one direction. Okay, you want to tell stories like that. So you start thinking in that direction, then you start coming up with ideas, and you get better and better and better because you have this passion and that pushes you forward.
I imagine it must have been really cool, like once the feedback started coming in, like once you kind of had these like, downloads in strange countries from people that you have no idea who they were. And like, that must have been a cool, oh, wow, somebody downloaded it in, Zambia or something.
Yeah,
like,
Zambia,
awesome,
yeah. Actually, we sell, not a lot of apps, but in many countries, which is makes us, when you see people from Zambia, from any place in Africa and Asia, Japan, we don't have it translated to Japanese, and we see downloads in Japan. It's like we need to translate it to Japanese, by the way. Because it's worldwide. It's ideas there are no frontiers. Photography has no frontiers, and the world is large, big, and small at the same time. Thanks to the internet and the App Store, the Google Play Store that these guys invented, they gave us a real opportunity to reach people all across the world. And one of the big successes on a company like Photopills is, think global. Think that you don't have to, sell in the US only. You just want to help photographers anywhere they are.
Right. And I would think that the logic in creating the app and the coding and that kind of stuff, I would think to some degree, like, is fairly consistent. I mean, the regardless of the country you're in, the Earth is spinning at the same rate. The star, they may appear differently based on your, latitude, longitude, obviously, but I would imagine it, it's always kind of the same logic, right? I mean, we're all on the same planet.
Yeah. We use the maths that rule the moon movement and the sun and the stars movement. Yeah, they are independent. It's all about knowing where you are, and we make everything work. And give you the information in a simplified way so you can understand it for your photography and make use of it for your creativity. Turning all this black box into something that people can really use, even if it's not easy to use, I may say. It's a really game changer, I think. And photography is picking up. It's such a creative hobby that I don't know, but it's happening. We're helping people get the shots they want, and slowly we're growing.
Yeah. Do you think, did you guys have like a particular feature that you think like was the most exciting? And I say that because in my opinion, as a person who is admittedly quite lazy, like I want to imagine, and I want it to just know what I want, doing the least amount of work possible. The augmented reality stuff was such a huge thing for me. And I think especially like with the rise of stuff like Milky Way photography, just in the past several years, is becoming like this thing that anybody can do. like that's kind of the first thing we're like, well, I can't see it. So what is it going to look like? And then of course it's like, well, it says it's going to be out at 3:30 in the morning. So I guess I'll just sit right here until 3:30 in the morning and hope that it's right. It's like, well, now at 3:00 in the afternoon, I can just swipe a little bit and okay, cool. It's going to line up right there. I mean, so for me, like the augmented reality, number one, and then the night augmented reality was just like, oh my God, this is so great. Yeah. And I was wondering if you thought that as well.
Definitely, that was the game changer, because at that time there were a lot of solutions out there, but nobody was using augmented reality, and nobody had the Milky Way, any tool for Milky Way planning, and we're the first to implement that. And that, and the Milky Way photography is becoming more popular. So, just the power to be in location and do like this on your phone and see where the Milky Way is going to be in the right position with your subject, so you can choose your shooting spot is really a game changer, definitely.
Yeah. Did you, was there like a particular photographer maybe that kind of started using the app that you were like so psyched about, like, oh my God, like we got him and he's sharing it or posting it, or he's going to do Photopills or something? Like, was there any moment like that happened for you?
At the beginning was, obviously it wasn't easy for photographers even the pro photographers, they didn't know how to plan shots. They just go a place and, sunset, and they make the magic. But then when they discovered that they could plan the shots, and we trained them, there was one photographer, this Mark G from New Zealand. Mm-hmm. He became the photographer of the year in 2013.
Yeah,
I
know Mark's work, yeah.
Yeah, the guy don't like to start Milky Way shot. That was an amazing moment, and he's very good also for these long distance moonshots. And
he had that viral video, that one. Yeah, I remember that one.
So we met online, and he was so excited about the app. And for us, we're like, oh my gosh, we're not photographers, and we're talking to this guy, our hero, Yeah. And that's something that I love about this adventure we're living, that we're being able to, chat with Alaya, Mark, Michael Shamble, having beers in Menorca, and taking photos.
That's awesome.
As friends, and there's so many photographers that I could mention that we're really close and working together. But Mark is the one I particularly remember, because he was like at the early 2013 with the first iOS version.
Yeah, I think he might have been the first person that I followed in some scenario, whether it was like through, what is his The Art of Night, right? That's his
Art of Night, yes.
His brand. Yeah. I don't know if it was the art of, because like a lot of people, the thing that kind of even got me turned on to photography in any genre at all was seeing a Milky Way photo. And like that was, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I took photos prior to that, but it didn't have the like, wow, I want to be a photographer. Like that didn't really happen until I saw some Milky Way shots. And I think that kind of was the whole launch into this whole world. And so I have a feeling, and I don't remember this completely, but I have a feeling that Mark was probably my first like signpost for Photopills. And maybe that's the case for a lot of people, to your point.
Yeah, for sure. And he helped us a lot, with feedback for the app, and also using the app. Mark is such a inspiring person. And by the way, he's not a full-time photographer. He works for Weta Workshops. He's doing like movies, like Lord of the Rings and stuff.
I saw that. Yeah,
such a cool guy. But yeah, he's the proof that not being professional, you can really take amazing photos. It's all about the idea. His idea of his lighthouse, with the Milky Way arching. The light from the lighthouse was going to the stars thanks to the Milky Way arch. That gave him the Astrophotographer of the Year in 2013. So, and that's just an idea. The idea is everything. That you can execute it. That you need the right gear, of course, and the skills to execute it properly. But the idea is number one for me.
Right. By the way, those kind of people can be so infuriating sometimes because they're so good at everything. You know, it's like, oh yeah, this isn't even my full-time job. And it's like, but you take better photos than most photographers. So how, you know, like it's hard to reconcile. You know what I mean? And especially it's like the people that aren't as good yet that are like, no, I want to quit my job and be a photographer. He's like, oh, I never actually quit my job. And you're like, ugh, you know what I mean? It's like disconcerting when people are that good at something.
Patience, and consistency. That's it.
Yeah.
Takes time, but you'll get there. No worries. It's not black magic.
Right. So how's quarantine life going for you?
Well, here in Madrid, we're still locked, you know, only allowed to go out shopping, supermarket, and then we have like certain hours to go, you know, make a little bit of sports. I like running. But it's been you know, it's hard, you know, psychologically it's pretty hard to be stuck here for more than 2 months now, like, you know, trying not to get out and only getting out once a week for shopping, food and stuff. It's not seeing your friends and family and stuff. It's really tough.
Is it especially odd being quarantined on an island? I would imagine that's another layer of.
Well, no, in Menorca, actually, they have more freedom at the moment because the virus hasn't spread that much. But here in Madrid, it was crazy. You know, a lot of people was dying, and they just told us not to, you know, stay at home. But it's been two months already, and it's tough. But then in Menorca, my family is pretty safe.
Yeah.
They are now allowed to get out often every day, and I think in next week they will even give them more freedom because this pandemic thing is getting more under control. It's supposed to. But how about you? How is life there out there?
It's definitely starting to things are starting to move and shift. And by the way, I didn't realize you were actually in Madrid. That's why I asked that question. I assumed that you were on Menorca. So yeah, no.
I love to be there, but you know, I fell in love with a girl 2 years ago. Yeah, she's from Madrid, and I can work from home. So
yeah, right.
Okay, I made the move, and I'm still here. So
right, yeah, that's how it goes much of the time, you know. Yeah, so I'm in the Philadelphia area. So I don't know if you've been to Philly, but you know, we're like 2 hours or so from New York. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't think that my area was, you know, as significantly impacted as like New York City, where it was like, you know, really you can't do anything. But the rules were still about the same. You know, it was a pretty good lockdown. And just now, the county that I live in is, I think, about maybe 2 weeks away. It's like right at the beginning of June. Where non-essential businesses can like start doing business again, but you know, at a very limited scale. Like I think it's a lot of if you're a retail store, it's like you can do like curbside pickup and that sort of thing. And you know, there's a number of other things that you'll be able to do as well, but it's still going to be pretty limited. And I have no idea, like, you know, when things with large groups of people will be able. I feel like that's very far away, and I don't know. I mean, it's funny. Like, I seem to have a different opinion on this. Like every 3 or 4 days, I'll go from, you know, this really is terrible, and like, what are we going to do? And this is going to be so bad, and I get kind of depressed about it and pessimistic. And then, like 3 or 4 days will go by, and I'll say, you know, maybe it's not such a big deal. Like maybe we're good. And I cannot figure out where the right mentality is with this thing.
It's tough. A lot of people is, you know, business is over for 2 or 3, 4 months. A lot of photographers, by the way, have no income, and a lot of people, you know, it's not an easy moment. And the future is uncertain because we don't know if in September it's going to be like spreading again. And until we have the vaccine is going to be pretty unstable, everything. So the way you need to live day by day. That's it. And have the best life possible as you can. But yeah, it's tough. It's not easy.
Yeah. Is it affecting like the Photopills business in some capacity? I mean, you guys must be thinking differently in some way, right?
I mean, we had to cancel our Photopills camp here there in Menorca. Our big event, have like these 15 masters and 50 Photopillers in our island. That was super fun. And then I had also another event in Sedona in August, and it's been postponed. Everything is like all the live events are being postponed to 2021. And the app sales, they've been down in March, when it hit us, panic and everybody was afraid. We saw like the sales going down. Now we were getting there again because people starting to, they have a time to learn and think and plan shots.
Yeah.
That's cool. But I have a lot of friends that they have no income, It's like I had like 10 workshops this year or 12, and now it's 0. I had to cancel everything and give all the money back, and it's a disaster. So it's tough.
Yeah, I have every photographer that I've spoken to. I mean, I know like Shane Bloom was talking about, he's like, yeah, every shoot canceled. And I'm like, oh man. And I know that he released his a couple of things. I think he did like a time lapse masterclass recently. Yes. I think so. Hopefully he's making something from that. But yeah, I mean Peter Hurley as well. His thing is even a little bit more interesting because like his type of photography is more intimate than like like landscape, cityscape. They travel. That's the big hurdle there is I think like, well, I can't go to the place to get the shot or to do the workshops, like to your point. But Peter Hurley's kind of interesting because it's like, how many people are actually going to want to have like a stylist and a makeup artist and a photographer sort of moving your shoulders around and that kind of thing. I mean, I just don't know at what point that kind of stuff like returns to normal. I don't know if you saw Mark Cuban had a couple of interesting tweets the other day. Mark Cuban, if you don't know, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, the NBA team and big entrepreneur. He had a couple of quotes and he was talking about, look, no amount of money, no amount of like stimulus checks to Americans is going to solve this problem. The only way that it's solved, and I'm paraphrasing here, the only way that it's solved is for people to sort of, actually want to go out and buy things. But if you're afraid to go out and buy things, or if you're afraid that this is just going to keep getting worse, then the stimulus money that the government provides, you just sort of put it away. You say, well, hey, I don't want to touch anything. And I thought it was a great point. Like, until people actually want to buy things, I just don't know how you like move on from this. So it's like a psychological thing.
Yeah, it is tough. I believe that when governments allow everybody to get out, people will go back to normal super fast. Like at least here in Spain, people forget, the bad times super fast. But they cannot allow people to go back to normal that fast because everybody's scared that this, we go back to all the deaths that we had last month. So it's like I understand that for politicians it's hard to decide, the economy is dying. And the country, a lot of people that are voters are dying because they're old and they a lot of people is, it's like, oh my God, what I'm doing. If I don't open, we're screwed, basically. And we open, maybe a lot of people will die. So I don't know. The approach in Spain is to open and release, change the rules every 15 days. And it seems it's working, but it's slow, right? A lot of people is like, I don't know, you're can be able to hold this situation for another month,
Yeah.
In the terms of, money, they need people, they need money to pay the rent, to get the bills and everything. So it's really tough. From going to a good economy to zero economy in one day, it's such a hit. So, it's so hard.
Yeah, unprecedented.
Unprecedented, yeah.
So I guess Spain was kind of like the second, or no, I suppose it was like the third like bad outbreak, right? I mean, it was kind of China and then Italy and then Spain was kind of the third.
I think so. Yeah.
Bad spot.
I think France and UK also more or less at the same time. Europe is like that. But yeah, after Italy, Spain was the number one. The crisis was growing so fast.
Yeah, I remember because I think the US was only like just a little bit after Spain was when it started to get bad in the US as well. And I was wondering, like, I noticed this about myself, and certainly, I mean, you watch the news, you see all the craziness of all the debates and arguing and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not necessarily full scale on one side or the other, because I feel like with most things, like the truth is somewhere in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
But like, I do notice that I'm a little bit less, I don't know, like I'm a little bit lazier in terms of the things that I know I should be doing or shouldn't be doing, because I think it's just inevitable that after months of something, and maybe like it hasn't affected you personally, it's just hard to keep up that level of like security. I don't know, it's you're fighting a thing that's not there, and eventually you relax about it more. And I don't know, I'm just wondering, like, it's probably not a good thing, because we should all sort of have our guards up as much as we can, even if we're going to go outside. Do you find that people in Spain are doing that as well? Like, are you guys sort of like, hey, I think we're good now, can we, or are they still, afraid? Or
no, people is trying to behave, follow the rules, and some people don't. And but then they have the police that finds them, It's like,
true.
But everybody is trying to get more relaxed, and it was tough when we're not allowed to go out for jogging, for example, only for shopping. That was super tough. But now that I can do a bit of sports, now it's better. It's better. But for the economy, it's like it's death anyway.
Yeah,
it's tough, because the ideal solution is if somebody had a button to know who is infected and who is not, and so people that's infected can stay home. That solves the problem, apart from the vaccine, of course. But here in the democratic cultures, it's not that easy to control people the way in Korea, or in China they do, with these apps that they know where you are at all time, and if you're infected, who is being with you, and so then they can track. So that's it's difficult.
That's the trade-off. Yeah, because I remember, like, I saw some videos on YouTube of like some of the stuff that was going on in China when it was happening, and it was like, oh my God, it was some scary looking, like going into people's apartments and like taking their temperature and then dragging them outside and stuff. And I was like, holy shit. So yeah, on one hand you go, all right, well, are we like that? No, we can't do that. But at the same time, if their numbers are true, which, I mean, who knows? That's a whole nother debate. Maybe they're true, maybe they're not. I don't know. They seem skeptical to me, but if they are true, then you go, I mean, I guess that worked. I guess that's what they needed to do. I don't know. It's hard to know.
No, I mean, the technology to do it is there. The problem is to implement it legally in our systems, and the fear that a lot of politicians probably have, to look like they control, that's dangerous. It's like a thin line between controlling too much, and it's hard. Probably because of that, the virus spreads like hell in our cultures and in countries. And until we have the vaccine, we're gonna be need to be worried about what we're doing outdoors.
Yeah. And then the whole vaccine conversation is just funny to me, because like you have I think, was it like yesterday or a couple of days ago, where the White House was like, yeah, we're going to have something by the end of the year. And people are like, what? Because the thing is, you hear even like Dr. Fauci, when he came out and he said like it's a 12 to 18 month timeline. I remember hearing all these other like epidemiologists and immunologists and whatever permutations of that profession were coming out, and they were like 12 to 18 months would be insane. That would be unbelievable, because I think what the fastest that there has ever been a vaccine in response to something was like 7 or 8 years or something, like ever.
Yeah.
So, you know, when Trump comes out and he's like, oh yeah, we're going to have one by the end of the year, I'm like, I mean, I don't know, who the hell am I? I have no idea. But according to like all these other scientists and medical people, they're just like, that's the most absurd thing I've ever heard in my life. So
if this is true, then it all depends on the funds you invest. And because if we don't find a vaccine soon, the losses are, you know, crazy. It's better to put 1 billion, you know, or 10 billion in this thing and solve it as soon as possible. Because on the contrary, the economy is going to be suffering for a long time.
Yeah. Maybe you're right though. Maybe the biggest hurdle for it is a financial one. So
yeah,
that's
I mean,
a good point.
You put all the smart people to work in this problem. You know, it's a funding thing, I think.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, if you get everybody to turn on a dime, it's much like, you know, when you would see like the pictures of like Venice, and then they would say, oh, we can see the fish again. And, you know, it's funny how when the entire world kind of stops doing something, all of the manifestations of that, like, I love the fact that there's no, you know, pollution right now, or pollution. There's obviously pollution, but like, you know, all these clear pictures of cities in China and like LA, and that's really cool. And I hope that we can somehow manage to still like see the benefit of that and maybe change the way we do things at least a little bit. But I also think, are we going to really change anything, or are we just going to go right back? I don't know.
You bet we're going to go right back. I don't want to be too pessimistic. And for sure, the planet is the one that's smiling at the moment. You know, the planet Earth needed a rest. We're destroying it, and thanks to this virus, it seems that it's breathing again.
Right.
That's a really positive thing. And the problem is, what's going to happen afterwards? I don't know. I think people will just go back to their lives as usual, and, you know, drive the car up and down all day.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. As hopeful as I am that won't be the case, logically, I know how stupid all of us are and how much we just like our nice luxury things. So yeah.
Well, but maybe some companies will start, you know, giving like work from home 2 days a week, you know, 3 days a week. That would be really beneficial to everybody. You know, only 2 days, people doesn't take the public transport or private cars. It would be just amazing. It would be a big improvement on society. Just working 1-2 days a week from home, the way we're doing it now. Only that, I think it would be awesome if we could at least keep, you know, the work from home thing.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I think there are definitely some things that aren't that far out of reach for us to just say, well, hey, we can at least just do this going forward. And you're right. And it was like, I remember in the first couple of weeks of quarantine, there was like, of course, all the internet memes have just been like fantastic lately. But there was one, and it was like, I was like, okay, it's time to find out if that meeting, you know, really needed to be in person or not. And I'm like, yeah, it's so true, because I used to work in sales for like, you know, software companies. And I was always like amazed at how much just bullshit, how much, you know, garnish was around like the actual job itself. It just always seemed to be vapor and just other, you know, accoutrement, just like other things And, you know, the job itself was like 15% of like what you were actually doing. Yeah, so I feel like, yeah, I mean, can't we just do this from home? I mean, can't we just, does the rat race really need to be as dramatic as it has been? Like, probably not.
Yeah, that's for sure. But wait a minute, I'm going to tell my girlfriend that she's talking to the phone. It's like,
okay.
What do you mean? You know, this is the fun part of, you know, working from home. My girlfriend is working from home too. Yeah. And she's like, he's been like, you know, drying their hair and everything. And I was like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
My gosh.
I had, Matt Van de Pute, the time lapser. Yeah, I had him on, and my daughter, like, you know, ran into the room. It was like when I had to edit I don't edit these really much at all. I believe in kind of the free flow, organic nature of conversation or whatever. But like in that one, it was like there was this 5 or 10 minute section where like every 10 seconds you just hear like, ah! You come from the other room, and I was like, okay, that's killing this audio. I have to come up with a better way. But yeah,
no, it's fun. It's fun to. I mean, this is real life. It's like that, and sometimes we overrate the perfection of of the sound, the image, and everything. And actually, the content is everything. The idea is everything. So, as far as somebody can follow us, can understand my English, that's good.
Yeah, no, I think it's fine. I don't think it will be an issue. And actually, I think it's cool. Like I enjoy I enjoy talking to people who, you know, maybe English isn't their first language, or there's just certain like cultural differences. And I think a lot of that comes from travel, just to get back to that subject. Like, I always feel like this is I guess an unnecessarily deep detail of what I think, but I often feel like when you're just sort of going about your day, like at home where you're comfortable, your brain is kind of on autopilot. You're just sort of yes, no, thank you. You know what I mean? You go about things and you're not really outside of that box mentally. And I've always found that when I travel, I'm completely off autopilot. I'm 100% on manual. And like every interaction is interesting because maybe it's a little bit more like challenging. Like when my wife and I went to Thailand and Vietnam like a few years ago, and it was probably more noticeable in Vietnam because there's less English speakers there. It was almost like now I'm presented with this, like, not problem, but I'm presented with a challenge where it's like, okay, how am I going to get what I need here? And it was like all those conversations become so much more like fun and rewarding. And it's like, oh, like you have these like aha moments of, oh, this person is actually the same as me. Or you'll have these little moments of like, oh, you do it that way? That's so weird. But like, I love that too. And I think it's one of the things that makes travel so awesome is like those kind of differences and similarities in culture that you find.
Yeah, man, I can't wait to travel again. Do you have anything in your bucket list for the future?
My bucket list is long. It's really long. I've got, well, you know, Africa has always been like a kind of a sacred place for me. I've been going there ever since I was a kid. So I've gone to Africa on safari like 10 times or something by now. So that's like one of those weird things. I think it's because when you experience it when you're a child, it just always kind of stays with you. So I'm always trying to go to Africa, but as like a landscape and cityscape photography person, God, I mean, there's so many, like all the cliche ones, you know, I need to go to New Zealand. I have to go to Iceland. You know,
Africa, you have Namibia, which is awesome.
True.
We went to Namibia 2 years ago, and it was for the Milky Way, man, and landscape in general. Just amazing. You have wildlife. You have a really nice mix there in that country. You know, the Himba tribe. You know, rock formations, and the wildlife, and the Namib Desert, and you know, so it's impressive. ocean, desert, mountains,
Yeah, that's a great point. In fact, so to your original question, what are some of the things on my list? Namibia is definitely towards the top because that's one of the countries in Africa, sub-Saharan, Africa with wildlife that I haven't been to. And you're right, it has everything. It's got, I had Yuri Beletsky on, which was such a treat, because not only is he a great photographer, but he literally studies space. And he was saying, oh yeah, Namibia is like, he wouldn't give me like a definitive answer on it, but like one of the top, places for night sky stuff. But you're right, it's got night sky. It has all those cool desert formation stuff. And then in the northeastern part of the country, you've got Etosha, which is like, now you've got your Kruger or your Masai Mara, whatever your staple kind of safari area. So yeah, you can kind of get everything there.
Yeah, for us was among all the Photopills expeditions, we usually do one a year, and that one in Namibia was just amazing. 16 days going up and down. Namibia was unbelievable, photographing the Milky Way with I think a group of 17 people, with cars and stuff. It was so fun, so much fun. And the way we love traveling is, we take a country and we plan shots, and and then we travel to capture them, and we build our venture in the country. And yeah, Namibia definitely should go. Don't think twice.
yeah, it's
so easy. It's so easy, man.
Right.
It's so easy to move around. Pretty safe.
Well, I always hear that Namibia is one of the best places for like self-drive.
Yeah, definitely.
Stuff like there's a lot of countries in Africa where like self-driving is a little bit like you can do it, but I don't know. It's just, there's not that much of like a culture of people that do that. And it's much more geared towards like, no, you have to hire a company and you kind of go with them. But yeah, Namibia is like always seems to be number one on that list.
Yeah, definitely. With family. Yeah. We saw a lot of families just, self-driving with all these, or sleeping on the tents, on the cars.
Right. The Range Rover or the Land Rovers or the Land Cruisers.
Yeah. You need to get ready for the flats though.
Yeah.
To repair the flats.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, Namibia for sure. And there's other like Patagonia. Everyone goes to Patagonia. It's funny when I had Shane Bloom on, he was talking about Patagonia, and this was a great realization that I had from him about photographers and how like no matter how good you are, you still kind of have that self-doubt. Like you still have that, am I really that good? Those kinds of things that you always say to yourself. And we were talking about some of these iconic places and how like, man, it's just been done. And even Michael Shainbloom was like, yeah, I don't know if it's worth it for me to go to Patagonia because I think everything's kind of been done there, and I just thought that's so crazy to hear you say that because you're the guy who I assume like, aren't you the guy who's the first to everything? And it's like, totally, I'm not, but it's just cool. It was like, wow, you feel that same way. Like you have this, is there a point for me going here or am I just going to be regurgitating the same stuff that everyone else is?
With Michael, what you have to do with Michael, you just take Michael and bring it to Patagonia. And then everything changes, It's like, okay, everything wasn't done.
Right.
We put Michael there and we will come up with something for sure because it's the way he looks at the world in a different way. And but yeah, when you see all these beautiful photos on internet, you say, oh man, everybody's doing this and it's already done. There's only one shot in this location. It's crazy to think like that for me.
Right.
Just plan a different light direction, the cloud's going to be different, everything. Maybe you'll find a different composition from the same spot. So with Michael, I know him quite well, and I would just, okay, I'm paying you the trip to Patagonia, and then you prove yourself that not everything has been done.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
He's really a creative mind. I mean, you can put him in, here in my room, and we will come up with ideas.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny, man. I kind of remember thinking the same thing because he had on his like he had this monitor, right? But then he had his adjacent like editing monitor next to him. And he was like, and I was kind of like, so what have you been doing? Like, are you bored? What are you? And he's like, well, I brought up these images that I took like 5 years ago or something. And he's like, and I still haven't edited them. And I'm like, really? Like, cause for me, if after a couple of tries, I just can't figure out an image, if I'm like, eventually I'll just go, you know what? I just don't think it's very good. And I'm just going to move on, and I may never look at it again. And his philosophy was like, it's good. I just haven't figured it out yet. And it's like, with me, if I have that thought, if I have, it's good, I just haven't figured it out yet, I'm not going to push it to the side. I'm just going to make a shitty edit, and I'm going to go, that's the photo, because I'm too impatient or something. But like with him, it's like, every couple of years I'll open up this photo and I'll go, am I ready yet? Or do I know the thing that should be done with this? Yeah. And he was like, and most likely these two photos that I'm looking at that I'm not, showing you, I probably won't, know what the answer is, and I probably won't edit it at all. And, what I'm thinking as the lesser photographer is you're probably so critical of yourself, Michael Shane Bloom, and maybe, and probably, he's earned that, right? But like on the other hand, it's like I told him, I was like, dude, I bet you if you just angle your monitor towards the camera and you show me, I'm going to go, what the hell are you talking about, man? Those photos are amazing. Just edit them. Like, why are you being so down about it? Just a difference in perspective, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. But people like Michael, they need to improve too. And for me, the question I'm asking myself is, who is giving him feedback so he improves? I mean, who is giving good feedback to make you improve? That's one of the problems we want to solve, but it's hard, man. It's hard to figure out the system where you can get really true feedback and make you improve. And we've seen that with feedback, people improve. But with Tony, the photographer in our team, at the beginning, he was shooting a shitty Milky Way photos, but after pushing him, he's been improving so much. But a guy like Michael Shamblin, who is able, where can he go to find feedback so he can improve? That's something that I start thinking about. How can I help Michael to improve his photography? It's not easy. You need to find something that's better than him or different. Right. Not better, but maybe different in another field or something, and give him some feedback. I don't know, maybe I'm just bullshitting. I don't know.
Hey, bullshitting is what I do best. Once we're bullshitting that's when we know the podcast is great. But no, actually, I think that's a really, really cool question. When you have gotten to the, like, let's say I'm sure would argue with this, but let's say like when a person, a creative person, an athlete, somebody who achieves like the pinnacle or maybe if not the pinnacle, like they've achieved a point of success where it's like you're inspiring to millions of people, such as Michael Shane Bloom. It's easy to give feedback for stuff when objectively I can look at a photo and say, that's not good. And I know why it's not. And I did that. And here's what I overcame in order to make it better. But yeah, if you're one of the best at something, then who has the ability to even see?
Yeah.
Like you can't see that because you're not capable of seeing that,
Yeah. And what I've seen that, the top stars and top people, they got a lot of mentors and coaches and people that just talk, and share opinions, but maybe help them psychologically, get over their fears or think in a different way, just pointing different directions, but you cannot tell them where to go, I suppose, because you don't know where they should go. You need to stimulate his mind to find their own way. Probably is the best way, but yeah. But coaches are not cheap, I think.
Right, right. and
sometimes I would love to have like a coach or a mentor or something tell me, Photopills, what are you doing? You're crazy. Yeah, you should be. You should have. The other day, somebody told me, yeah, you should. The app is only one-time payment. It should be like $10 a year, right? Yeah,
right.
It's crazy, man. You make one sale and then 5 years later, nobody's like, what the hell? I mean, it doesn't make sense. And one entrepreneur told me, you should just change it. You should change it to $10 a year. And it's nothing. And so yeah, maybe you're right. But we are scared to do that. I don't know. It's like, oh my gosh.
Dude, I think it's a perfectly fair. I mean, it's funny. Like I'm conflicted in one being like this guy who's having a great conversation with you, and then a person who is like, a purchaser of your software, and probably anyone that's watching this is as well. And that like, I kind of want to, as like a friend or as just a person who sees things logically, I go, it probably should be like $10 a year. Like it probably should. And the fact of the matter is it would be an absolute no brainer for me. Like January 1st, $10 to use it. Like, yeah, here, you know what I mean? Like that's not even like hard to digest for me. So, I don't necessarily want to tell you to do it, but yeah, you should probably do that.
I'll tell you a secret for the business point of view. It should be $10 because there is a recurring cost in the app. So when people uses the app, we need to pay to Google. We need to pay. So probably after 2 or 3 years, we're losing money with these guys, right? Because we need to pay, and the $10 are already gone. And by the way, we don't get $10 because I'm Apple and the taxes, we get like 5. But the logical, the sustainable system should be like that. But at the beginning, you want people to get in and try it and learn it. And we don't know what's going to happen in the 2, 3, 4 years, right? But what you want is people to, use and test the idea and everything. Then we'll see what happens. But yeah, sometimes, even for the future tools in Photopills, we need to get creative.
Yeah.
Like a photographer needs to get creative. We need to really get creative in ways we can help people. And that's a big challenge. And sometimes I would like to have like somebody talk about, we have a lot of Photopillers that we talk and chat and they ask us stuff and everything. But the more people you talk and get feedback from, the better. And then you have like experts on, in our case, on businesses, entrepreneurship, even, education, teachers. The more people, the more different sources of wisdom you can benefit from. I think it will help you in the project. For me, for example, I'm reading, trying to find inspiration in psychology and ways to teach, other stuff, how people is teaching so people can learn fast,
Yeah.
And this apply to Photopills is really helping us move forward, So yeah, in terms of creativity and inspiration, being creative is maybe looking not at the obvious spot. The obvious spot now is, okay, just do an online course, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just do an online course and sell it. You want to make money, just do an online course and sell it. Yeah. But for me, it's like, okay, I could do that, but no, I want to do something different, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's gonna be a mix of everything, but yeah. So that's where you need to get creative in everything you do. And I find inspiration in books, reading a novel, reading business books, of course, but not only business books, other kind of books where oh shit, like maybe I could get an idea of this and apply it in this field for that. So I suppose in photography is the same. You don't need to look at landscape photography photos. Maybe you should look at macro photos, macro photography, or microscope photography, or whatever, or even painting, or another form of art where you can feel inspired.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people are doing that right now, especially macro photography. It's like, I was joking about that with Colby Brown It was just like, oh yeah, like now it's like there's 2 photographers during the quarantine, right? There's the guy who is outside, but now he's like, well, I guess I'll, look at this dead, worm or, or like a flower petal or something because, hey, I can at least do that. And then there's the guys that are like, they think that they're going to make this like opus of like empty streets, the quarantine or something, and I'm going to get a good Times Square shot of no one there or something.
Yeah, for sure. Macro photography is pretty interesting. It's a really interesting field, and I find out that a lot of landscape photographers, they love to shoot macro too. I came across a lot of people that they just love to shoot everything,
Yeah.
Try everything. And what's one of the pillars of Photopills that we try to move forward people from, sun, moon, Milky Way. So you experiment as many kind of photography also as possible. Because, if you like photography, you're going to be shooting all your life, and it's about having fun. And you need to experiment, change. You do always the same, probably you'll get bored.
Yeah. And I think to that end, like what you guys do is good for the photography community beyond like the obvious stuff that we've already talked about. But I think it might even be good for like the manufacturers, because if you think about it, like moon photography, my light fell off. Moon photography was never like a huge interest for me. It was always kind of like, oh, that's cool, but I didn't really care about it like that much. But I guess just due to being exposed to it so much, it's so popular now. Now I'm kind of like, all right, maybe I should try my hand at some moon photography. And as a result, you go, all right, well, I don't have the lens for it. Like I don't have, you need a big lens. Yeah. And I wonder, there's no way of like quantifying this obviously, but I wonder how many people have a similar story about the moon or something else, or maybe the Milky Way. And it's like, if Photopills inspires people to take, say, Milky Way shots, and then those people go, okay, how do I take a Milky Way shot? And then they read the first article that says, well, you need like a 2.8 or better lens. Mm-hmm. And then they go, great, I'm going to go buy the lens. And you wonder if the seed that made that journey happen had to do with Photopills or somebody using Photopills to get that shot. So I think there is like a life cycle into even acquiring gear that in some cases probably starts with you guys.
Yeah, definitely. But because when you have somebody motivated in getting a shot, they're going to get everything they need. If they need Photopills, they're going to get Photopills. If they need better gear, they will get better gear if they can afford it. Even for the Milky Way, if they want to post-process Milky Way, maybe they're going to get Adobe or Luminar or whatever software. It's all about inspiring people to take action, and then depending on the budget you have, you'll do, and what's funny here is that Photopills is the cheapest thing you can even buy in photography, and is the seed. I want it to be like the ignition, the seed that we want to plant in people to grow their photography. And sometimes we were scared about the price and say, well, it's the cheapest thing, man. It's the cheapest thing. Then this guy is going to spend, thanks to us, $2,000 on a good lens without hesitating.
Right.
And it's fun. Yeah. But the moon, if you try the moon, what's magical about the moon, what's magic is the moment. The photos are cool, but man, living the moment to see the moon appear where you want it to be, and with the right size and with the right light, and you get the shot you want. It just it's a goosebumps, what we call here the Photopills team, goosebumps. It's like, oh my god, shit, this is incredible, and it's so hard to get that when you get it, of course, it becomes like an addiction. It's not easy at all.
Yeah, it is the feeling of getting those shots and looking at the back of your camera that, I was saying earlier about how like the feedback maybe that you get on a post that was shared, you go, great, I just bought myself another 6 months of like being interested. I think the same thing happens when you're there, the moment happens, you take the shot, you look at the back of the camera, you go, I got it. And that is an awesome feeling. I remember the first time I had that with the Milky Way, and it was like it was a shitty Milky Way shot. But the point is, like, you know, you see the vague bit of Milky Way in the sky. You can see it with the naked eye, but of course it never looks the way it looks in the photo, obviously. And, you know, like I took probably way too long of an exposure for the rotation. Yeah, I probably took a 30-second shot and it was way too much or something. But the point is, it was like, holy shit, you know, I could not believe that this was reality. It's right there in front of you. My friend Kevin Green, I don't know if you know Kevin Green. He's an LA photographer. He does a lot of moon shots and Milky Way stuff. He's had a few viral images. And most likely a Photopills user. I can't see it any other way. He has this video that it was like a behind the scenes video for a shot that he did, I think like years ago, where he had, do you know those like inflatable T-Rex costumes that people would wear? The big head. So I guess this was like a few years ago, like before they were as like popular. He and his friend like bought one, and he said, listen, we're going to go to this spot like in LA, up in the hills, and you're going to and I'm going to be like a mile away from you with like an 800 and an extender. I don't remember exactly what he used, but some obnoxious, you know, long combination. And so he's kind of standing on the crest of this hill, and is in the T-Rex costume, and he waits for the huge moon to line up, you know, just behind him. And he gets the photo of the T-Rex like looking up in the air, and it got like millions of shares on like Reddit. But recently he did this behind the scenes video of that shot happening, and he's got like a walkie-talkie with the other guy, and says, okay, hey, is it lined up yet? And he's like, hang on, you know, give it a second. And right when it like lines up, you can hear him just laughing about it, like the elation of like, dude, this is so funny, like the T-Rex and the moon, like this is just so great. And so he made this behind the scenes video of that shot, and them both just like laughing. He's like, should I dance around? He's like, yeah, dance, like just do something funny. And it's better than the shot, because it's like, man, you can see just how happy and like funny this whole situation was. It's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. It happens to us every time we go out and shoot with the moon. We also do have one video on YouTube on shooting these full moon silhouettes videos, where we use the moon to play something in front of the moon. Like, and we have a Halloween tribute on YouTube, and we did another one with the Star Wars, but that's not public because we don't want to get sued.
Right.
About Lucas and stuff.
Right.
But the moon is great for telling stories. It's amazing, and it's so much fun when you nail it. It's impressive. And the walkie-talkies are key for this kind of shots. Or you have like a model or something waiting for the moon to be at the sweet spot. But the moon is incredible. Even we have people that are not photographers that want to join us, you know, just to live. Not a lot of people is paying attention on the full moon rise or full moon set. And when they do pay attention, it's like, oh my God, that's the moon?
Totally.
It's incredible.
Yeah, you're right. Totally. There's a lot of things in photography that the average person doesn't see because they don't, you know, stay up at 2:00 in the morning and go to some remote location to see the Milky Way. But everyone, city, country, doesn't matter, can relate to those, you know, maybe two or three times of the year that they're driving home and the sun has just set and the moon is just, you know, that perfect like 30-minute window that you just got by coincidence when you're on the road. And it's like, holy shit, like, do you see? And it's like, everyone knows that feeling, you know?
That feeling is universal.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, the moon is so beautiful and it's huge tonight.
Yeah. And no one knows why. Like, no one knows. I mean, the average person, like, they haven't done the research to go, well, it's when it's low on the horizon and it's getting the reflection from the sun, and that's the reason why it looks pink or red or whatever. Like, they're just like, I wonder why it looks so big on the horizon. You know, they're asking those questions that everyone asks, but the curiosity is there, you know, everybody.
It's attracts attention, and it's so powerful. And the nice thing about the moon is that you can literally just take a piece of paper and draw the photo. You can draw your subject and how big you want the moon to be compared to your subject, and you can plan everything to get that shot if that shot is possible.
Yeah.
And that's that was make the moon so powerful for telling stories. And it's so hard to get that not a lot of photographers are managing to use it for storytelling. And the ones that are getting it, they go viral because they create photos that are hard to see.
Yeah.
They're rare.
Yeah. By the way, how's the depth of field augmented reality going? I saw that was released just recently, and that I got pretty excited about that. How's that going?
It's awesome. It's awesome. It's a great tool because it allows you to visualize on the reality, the depth of field you'll get. It makes depth of field easy to learn. When you're teaching depth of field to somebody, you show them, okay, this is, if I'm focusing there, I'm gonna get this area in focus and the other area out of focus, or even hyperfocal distance concept that seems that almost nobody understands, or it's like a taboo topic also. When you explain hyperfocal distance to somebody, it's like, wait a minute, I don't understand. It means just the distance. And when you see that on the augmented reality, and everything is, okay, if I'm focusing there or something that's behind that line, I'm going to get in focus from infinity to half of this distance. And augmented reality tool is such a powerful tool to make people visualize the information and understand the concepts on the reality. That's the power of it.
Right. And especially for something like that, I mean, like the hyperfocal distance calculation and table and everything is one of those first ones, I think, when you get into photography where you're like, it's conceptually, it's just very odd. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But I think it's just one of those things that inevitably, like, you get to a certain stage of your photography, you get to a certain point where you're like, there's something missing. Like, there's just, I don't get this pop or something. And you realize, like, it's because things that are even so subtly out of focus is the difference between like it's okay, and like, hey, that's a powerful image. Like, focus is just everything. And it's weird how long it takes for you to understand that, like, the most minute differences are everything. It's not just like, I slightly misfocused. Like, nope, it just doesn't work, and that's, so it's cool to bring that to like the augmented reality thing where a lot of people can have that aha moment a lot faster.
Yeah. And the depth of field is a tricky thing, because that the circle confusion thing, there are all the assumptions that are behind what we consider acceptably sharp or not in the calculations. So it's something that what I find that people, when I try to help people understand depth of field, first thing I'm trying to help them is about, you need to understand that the camera can only focus the lens one spot. Everything that's away from that spot is out of focus, right?
Yeah.
Then we need to assume what we consider acceptably sharp or not, and then and if somebody understands that, they can understand the depth of field, because then it's like, okay, what we consider what is acceptably sharp and what's how far away. And then is when you need to make the assumption of how big is the defocused dot in the sensor that you consider out of focus or in focus.
Right.
And it all depends on how big you want to print the photo and the distance you're looking at the photo and how good is your sight. So everything is more kind of maths and assumptions that a normal person can see in focus something that is not in focus, right? Because the truth is, what's in focus is only one distance. Right.
Especially, like, I think, probably, I'm sure you would say that your average user is like interested in landscapes and cityscapes, right? Like, that's the predominant part of your user base, I would think.
So.
And, like the trend of things like focus stacking, or you see a lot of like, there's, photography, it's like, there's always certain cliches that sort of just go up to a point and then maybe they start to change thereafter. But like, one of the big ones that you see is like the super wide with like the kind of colorful flowers, or like the tree with like the detail or something. And that's right up close. Like, that's, sometimes like a foot from the camera. Yeah. And then that leads up this long path until eventually there's like the sun star, or there's the, the Milky Way, or some cool clouds or whatever. But And a lot of guys are shooting these at like 15 millimeter and things like that. And that's such a photography cliche right now, and rightfully so, because it's an awesome looking image. It looks great. And you realize like, that's when you really have to start delving into all the focal stuff. And it's like, you either have to know your hyperfocal distance well, or you have to just focus stack. And that's a whole nother can of worms.
And a lot of people will tell you just to focus stack, because when they zoom in 100% in the image, you will see that everything is out of focus, and they say, no. But nobody's going to zoom. You bring your photo, nobody's going to zoom like 100%
right
in your photo to see that the foreground is not in focus. You want everything in focus, you need to focus stack, like, I have, like they do in macro photography, that they focus stack hell to keep everything so sharp, right?
Yeah.
But it's a matter of taste too. It depends on how much time you want to spend also in front of the computer. And
right.
Photos and testing also. You want your photos for social networks. You don't really need it, almost. You want to print it, depends on how large you want to print your photos. And the cool thing about photography is they have so many techniques, and there is no single way to use them.
Yeah.
When photographing the Milky Way, we always recommend to focus at the focal distance, but many photographers recommend to focus at the stars.
Right.
They prefer to have the stars super sharp and the foreground less sharp.
Right.
Other photographers prefer to focus stack. Shoot one shot for the stars and then shoot several shots for the foreground during blue hour, for example. So as soon as you know that you have all these possible techniques at your service, then you can use the one that you feel more comfortable with. That's it. But yeah, depth of field is a interesting topic. And actually, I just released a video on depth of field, and I tell you, I'm not a photographer, and I love teaching photography. It's pretty weird, though.
Yeah, that's my least favorite concept, I think, is that kind of, it's just, it's, like you said, it's interesting. Like, I don't think it's interesting. I think it's just horrible. Like, it's just so, I don't know. It's like, I mean, the thought of like guys being outside in this beautiful location, and then they pull out like a tape measure, you know what I mean?
No,
like, here, let's like check it. It's like, and I've seen guys do that on YouTube. They're like, I bring my tape measure, and it's like, there's something very like not romantic about like going to this beautiful spot and then busting out your tape measure, It's like a weird thing. Yeah.
I mean, as we say here in Spain, you need to love people the way they are, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have people for everything. Some people will love doing that. And Tony, the photographer of our team, he shoots all his Milky Way photos in using the hyperfocal distance.
Right.
He never focus on the stars. Other photographers will argue that that's not the way to do it, but it depends. Yeah. For me, it's easy to focus at the hyperfocal distance than to focus at the stars. And I see a lot of people really in pain trying to focus the lens in a star at night.
Yeah.
But if your eyes are not, good enough to see properly well, it's hard to focus at the stars. But
Sony was pretty helpful with that for me. Just not to say that Sony's the only people that do this. I know that every camera company does this, but I had a D750, the Nikon, which is a great camera, but I was kind of like ready to upgrade. And so one of my prerequisites was that I needed the, like the focal, what's it called? The like indicator and manual focus peaking. And I ended up switching over to Sony for various reasons, but that was such an awesome thing for me to just be able to like crank my ISO and everything, just look over at some stars and just play with my focal and be like, okay, the redder they are, the more in focus. And that was like so helpful for me, because any other way is just painful.
Yeah, totally. And by the way, Sony is doing a great job as a manufacturer. They're building a really great community around their brand. So yeah,
agreed.
It's impressive.
Well, listen, man, I want to let you go. I've occupied you for almost 2 hours now, so thank you so much
already. Oh my gosh,
for doing that. Yeah, these things really kind of fly by. I just wanted to ask, is there any like, future Photopills stuff that looks interesting, or any future travel? You said you're postponing the camp for a year, right?
Yeah, we're postponing the camp for a year, and I hope next year we're gonna try to do a Photopills expedition with David Swindler from Action Photo Tours in down in Utah. And yeah, we've never been in the US. I mean, with the Photopills people doing a really cool adventure, chasing moments. And really looking forward to do that in September next year. And for the app, I don't know, there are so many things that will come in the future, and we're working in a big project now, and we'll see.
Really?
It'll take us, I think it'll take us 1 year or two to develop. We're super slow.
Still, big project. That's exciting. Top secret, I assume.
Top secret big project for the future. But it's supposed to be fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to see. Now I need to know what it is. Now I'm like, I wonder what that thing is. Well, yeah, man. I would imagine that coming to the US will be good in terms of like numbers of people that you'll get. I would think, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there are a lot of Photopills in the US. US is the first country in terms of the community. And every time I come to the US and I do a workshop, it's magnetic. I did a workshop with Josh Cripps in Mammoth Lakes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Josh is a great guy too. And,
I think I remember seeing some stuff on that online. Yeah.
And we got 80 people there in Mammoth, and we had so much fun. Yeah, I really like the US, man. I can't avoid to go back every year.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Well, the next time you're out this way, I'll see if I can maybe venture to find you or something. We can meet in person and have a beer or something like that.
Of course. Anytime, man.
Cool. Well, dude, thanks so much again, Rafa. I really appreciate it, man. And stay well and everything, man.
My pleasure. Stay well, stay safe.
Yeah, you too.
See you soon.